why is it that people unite in a time of crisis, and when it's not in a time of crisis, people tend to be a lot more selfish and more secluded? You know, it's like something bad happens and all of a sudden people are protesting together, they're supporting each other.
You can look at it the good side too. You know, you said, why do people unite in a time of
Well,
crisis?
I think it is a good thing.
Right, but I'm saying, no, it's not actually. It's very simple. When a person has purpose, they get a sense of purpose in life.
Right.
Something greater than them exists, right? So they devote themselves to a cause. They find a way to matter. They find a way to have a voice. Get it?
Right.
So they go, this is my purpose. This is what I want to bring to life. My life doesn't even matter as much as this thing matters. That's the correct state of evolution towards consciousness.
Okay.
To allow creativity and purpose to lead the way to heighten self.
Right.
When that void exists, because you don't have that purpose, you don't have that.
So you're saying a void is a crisis?
Yeah, so what happens is a void is an internal crisis. And when we collectively have a crisis bigger than that threatens our survival again, then we want to get involved. And the same angle as the idea of having purpose kicks in, except it's the opposite effect, where it's like, I don't have one, so I need to matter, so I'm going to find an involvement point in this, right? So I'm going to make this like a purposeful point.
So, for example, the Black Lives Matter movement, when this came to light and it got really intense, people from all races are they're all marching together. They're doing the protests and everything. So that's kind of what I imagine as uniting in a time of crisis. So I guess I don't see that necessarily as a bad thing, because it's like when people are coming together and supporting each other.
Remember, we're not talking about good and bad. We're talking about the human being's necessity to belong to something.
Right.
And not having something to belong to, so they obviously create their identity through their belonging.
Yeah.
So what occurs is, it doesn't matter that it's the Iraq War, or it doesn't matter
it could even be a business. It's like
it could be anything.
Like during business, when months are going good and everybody's kind of doing their own thing.
Unity around creation. Yeah. What I'm saying is, don't forget that there's a movement created, and that's uniting people around it. Now, if that movement caters to the void or to the light inside somebody, that in itself is someone's choice, you know.
What do you mean caters, though?
Meaning that the movement caters to the shadow of the world, right? It requires people to come together.
But wouldn't it be the movement is trying to expose the shadow?
No, the shadow's already exposed.
Because
it's like
it's like the movement started from right.
The movement's already started.
So to change it, then that's why they're uniting, because they're trying to change something.
So yes and no. This is where there is a lot of layers to this. And when we're talking specifically about Black Lives Matter, that's what I'm using here as an example. But a crisis usually unites people around the crisis whose survival is at stake, or who believe their survival is at stake.
Yeah.
The same crisis here can be explained this way, where unfortunately we have a serious racial issue in this country, and that is now bringing together people who believe their survival is at stake. Now, it also brings in people who believe their friend's survival is at stake. And it brings people who believe that people should have rights, you know, and they shouldn't be treated that way. You know, it doesn't matter. Like, that's the whole idea of the American dream, right? It's the capacity for change and the opportunity for growth, you know? And if the opportunity is not equally driven to everybody, more and more people will follow that ladder up, right? But if the opportunity is not, more and more people will be like, well, there's no point. So this is why I always said it's so important to look at even politics and be involved as a person, because once you take away the politics and you go, well, I don't even care if I vote or not because nothing will change, then you start to really feel hopeless, you know? Like you are part of a byproduct of a prison then that you have no say in. So while you do have a say in that prison, you know, as who the warden is, who the guards are, and how it's going to play out, this is when you have a chance to go up there and make a choice.